Well, here we are again, a week later, and really only because what could have been a 2 or 3 day story just won't go away. Why? Well, because of ducking and dodging and doubling down and denying and deflecting. It all adds up to a depressing and dumb distraction. Hi, thanks for joining me for another installment of Tom's Take. One that could have been different this week if people would just grow up and stop acting juvenile. Well, thanks to my friend Kathleen Whalen, too, of Whalen Financial in downtown LaSalle for sponsoring this multimedia project. Politics is a sport. And when you're a public official, or if you decide to run for office and you therefore become a public person, you have opponents. Wimbledon, going on right now, good example. And that brings to mind a tennis term, unforced error. It's a mistake you make that your opponent has not forced you to make. It's on you, and it costs you. Embattled LaSalle County Clerk Jen Ebner keeps making these unforced errors. She's had ample opportunity to help this story move along. All she has to do is own the fact that she posted something offensive to her Facebook page. But she hasn't. And since she's a Trumper, the king of denial, I'm not holding my breath that she will, but it's only because Trump has made denial and deflection the new normal. Quick recap. Ebner posted an offensive image to her Facebook page. It shows an American flag-clad stick figure kicking a pride flag stick figure in the stomach under the image of the words, "It's finally July." That was the first unforced error. I called and I asked her if she felt that was a prudent thing to do as a public official. And she threw up a lot of responses, including telling me not to look at her Facebook page, that I have an agenda because I'm a member of the media, and the message can be taken as patriotic. She could have just said, yeah, I messed up. I screwed up. And it would have gone away in a few days. And that was her second unforced error. She doubled down by posting that I was stirring stuff up. She didn't use the word stuff, of course. When all I did was repeat the exact thing she said to me on the phone without my opinion. That was her third unforced error. Then, meanwhile, public figures lined up to criticize her. Board members, Brian Does, Douglas Traeger, State Representative Lance Yednock, her county party organization, and the LaSalle County Democrats, and God knows how many private citizens. And you think that would have been enough? But then she showed up to the next county board meeting dressed up like an American flag. Red dress, stars and stripes headband, defiant, doubling down. Again. Well, the county board chairman, Don Jensen, then gave a sermon at the county board meeting, something you're about to see here, and the only word you can come up with for it is a sermon. And that raised religious issues, keeping religion out of government proceedings. Now look, I'm a Christian. I'm confirmed in the Catholic Church. It made me uncomfortable, though, and I was not alone in being uncomfortable. Now, the chairman preached forgiveness, but should he have? Did he need to? Is it possible to truly forgive somebody who hasn't asked for it, much less expressed contrition? Because Jen Ebner sure as hell hasn't asked for it. In fact, I think she relishes being a martyr. To what? The cult of outrage? The religion of grievances? I think she's glad that this is happening, no matter how stupid a strategy it is. So here is the sermon from Thursday's county board meeting and Chairman Don Jensen.
I'd like to say this is what's going on in the last week. I don't approve of the Facebook post, but in the same sense I defend Ms. Ebner's right to do it. And in making these comments, I have to look at it from a Christian perspective. I would not do that. I don't feel it appropriate. And in thinking about this, a word comes to mind in this situation, and it's forgiveness. We go throughout our days, in our daily walk, and as far as I'm concerned, Forgiveness will start the healing process in this whole situation. We have a choice in this matter to either forgive or to seek retribution or revenge. And I'd like to share a couple stories with you. Peter approached Jesus and said, "My neighbor sins against me. How many times should I forgive? 7?" And Jesus says 7 times 70. And I think of it in the situation that 7 times 70. So after the 490th time, we are allowed to not forgive. But I look at it in this situation that by the time we have reached that 490th time, unbeknownst to us, because we failed to keep track and count, we've developed a manner within ourselves of a way to live that we forgive. And the rest of that story goes and likens it unto a king who takes account of his servants. And he requests the servant to come forward. That the king finds out that the servant owes him 10,000 talents. And the king becomes angry to find out that his servant owes him so much. And the king says to him, "You will go to prison for your debt until it is paid." And the servant falls on his knees and begs forgiveness. And out of grace, the king forgives. The servant goes forth and finds one on the street who owes him 100 pence. And says, "Pay me back what thou owest." Unforgivingly, that servant sends the other man to prison. And the king finds out and sends that servant to prison. And another story, Jesus is in the temple teaching, and the scribes and Pharisees bringing a woman forth caught in adultery. And he's sitting on the sand, writing something in the sand, and the scribes and Pharisees are pressuring him, "What should we do? By law, she is to be stoned." And he's writing something in the sand with his finger. And they keep pressuring him. And Jesus says, "He who is among you without sin, cast the first stone." And their consciences being seared by the truth, they all, one by one, walk away. And he stands up and looks at the woman and says, "Where are your accusers?" And she says, "No man, my Lord." And he says to her, "Yes, indeed, I judge you neither. Now, go forth and sin no more." We have a choice, ladies and gentlemen, to choose between forgiveness or retribution. And also in finishing, basically, I'd have to say, judge not, lest we be judged for our own sins and iniquities, the same way that we judge. We have a choice of choosing forgiveness or retribution. But as far as I'm concerned, the act of forgiveness is the beginning of healing. It sets us free from the pains and travail of being a victim. And I pray in the situation that we have in this building that forgiveness will start the healing process that's necessary. Thank you.
You know, Jen Ebner asked to be a public figure. She hasn't asked for forgiveness. So she's getting, apparently, what she wants. My on-air partner, Rod, thinks she's angling to open a MAGA school. Maybe so. And if she does, she's going to be paying for it with the money that we pay her. Keep that in mind. Assuming the Attorney General doesn't do something that removes her from office, she could run for re-election. And I know of at least one opponent who's getting ready to take her on. Just as I know of at least another opponent who's getting ready to take on Chairman Jensen. Duck, dodge, deny, double down, deflect. Just don't do the right thing. If that's your strategy, get ready for an opponent. Thanks again to my friend Kathleen Whalen of Whalen Financial in downtown LaSalle for always sponsoring this multimedia project and for her ongoing support, no matter what the subject is. And thank you for tuning in again. If you're listening to this on the stream or on WLPO on Sunday morning, thank you for that. But remember that you're hearing the audio part of a video that's posted to the Starved Rock Media YouTube channel. So you can just go up there and look for all the Tom's Take videos. I post them just about once a week or so. And I'll talk to you in the morning.